Hello everyone, my name is Dina Harrell. I'm the Director of Advanced Academics. I want to share with you a little bit about the work that our Gifted and Talented Services Committee members have done over the course of this year to help redefine what gifted services look like in CISD. That is an expectation as part of Module 2, and I will give you that information as quickly and as concisely as I possibly can. You may or may not know that a program audit was conducted in the spring of 2013 by members of the community, parents, educators, administrators, and some learners, and 25 recommendations were made to the CISD out of that program audit. As we began our work this summer, we really talked about the importance of a common philosophy and vision about what the intention was behind some of those recommendations, and we decided we needed to have some common language and operate from some common assumptions about what is good for all gifted learners. Really quickly, those assumptions and philosophies really include the idea that gifted learners are a diverse group. They are as diverse as any other special population that we serve in our school district, including ESL learners who are served through intervention services, etc. Their gifts manifest themselves in different ways, and that it's essential that we differentiate our services for those learners. In other words, we cannot treat them as though they're all the same and have a one-size-fits-all service model for them. So we broadened what we were currently doing and have established a continuum of services in gifted education in order to meet those learners' needs. Assessment for identification for gifted services is always a hot topic. Some of the changes that were made immediately in order to help reduce the amount of time that our gifted specialists and counselors were spending meeting the needs of gifted learners by assessing them were that we immediately changed our transfer policy. Learners who are identified gifted in another district are automatically admitted into our program on a probationary status. We allowed their data after one semester, their classroom performance, to speak for itself. We have added another universal screening year at the elementary level. 5th graders this year will be taking the COGAT. That does not change our practice of universally screening at kindergarten and 3rd grade for giftedness. We just added an additional year. A question that has been coming up in regards to that additional assessment is it possible that a learner would unqualify for services based on their data and or at least based on their COGAT test? And the answer to that is no, we do not ungift you. However, we may change the services we're providing based on a change in your need. Accommodations for gifted learners are being kept at the elementary level in green folders, and service decisions are made on at least 3 data points. This goes back to the state plan. A combination of qualitative and quantitative data points are being used to make service decisions for gifted learners. Back to that assumption of not treating all gifted learners as though they're exactly the same. At the elementary level, one of the things that we have implemented is the tiering of our services. This models or mirrors the RTI process in many ways. Tier 1 is differentiation for everyone. Learners are not necessarily identified GT at Tier 1. At Tier 2, learners are identified GT and they are cluster grouped. To explain that practice a little bit, cluster grouping is a method of providing the classroom educator with the opportunity to differentiate for similar groups instead of putting the whole gamut of learning interests, aptitudes, and abilities into one classroom. So we've been doing this for quite a few years. Learners are cluster grouped in groups of 4 to 8 in classrooms with an educator that has received their 30 hours or is in the process of receiving them. And that educator has the support of the GT specialist to help design learning. There is a little bit of pullout for those GT learners, but for the most part they're working on their Texas Performance Standards projects, the TPSP, and they are presenting their knowledge and their new learning to outside evaluators. We know that there has to be a reason, an authentic reason, to complete some of those tasks. At Tier 3, learners may be a little, I don't know a better way to say this, they are profoundly gifted. These are learners who receive all supports at Tier 2 and have pull-out time with the gifted specialist. This provides us the opportunity to do some multi-age grouping, particularly if there is a group of learners on a campus that has a proclivity for a particular content area, gift, and perhaps mathematics. It also allows us to address some of the things that are challenges for gifted learners, particularly those that may be operating at 4 standard deviations above the norm. Obviously, not all things about being gifted are gifts. There come emotional struggles, there come relationship challenges, and the ability to get along with others. And so this allows our gifted specialists to meet those particular needs. Again, we are differentiating for our learners instead of treating them as though giftedness is one thing and you do the same thing for all gifted learners. For those of you that are visual learners, here's a graphic of what those tiers of service might look like. On the left-hand side, you see RTI, and on the right-hand side, you see GTI, Gifted and Talented Interventions. Obviously, the goal is for everyone to be performing at least Tier 1, but we know that there are learners that walk into a classroom on day 1 of instruction and already know the content, and so it is our opportunity and our unique challenge to modify and accommodate for those learners' needs. So therefore you see Tier 2 written in a little bit of a different way than I explained it on the previous page, and Tier 3 interventions for learners who really need some intense support. The goal is for all learners to grow 1 year for 1 year's worth of instruction. If you're going to spend 189 days at school, you ought to grow during that time, and that is our goal. The curriculum audit, the program audit was completed in the late spring, and therefore all secondary course catalogs were out, enrollment had already taken place, registration was ongoing, and it wasn't the time to make changes. However, we do have a couple of things that we're looking at for the 2013-2014 academic year. At the middle school level, again, there are no significant changes this year. However, a committee worked all summer to design what we might be able to do for gifted learners beginning the fall of 2014. First, the committee made some recommendations in regards to what GT learners had available in terms of course offerings. The short of that conversation is that GT learners can participate in any course that is labeled GT regardless of their area of identification. If they want to work extremely hard in math and science, even though their areas of identification are primarily either general intellectual ability or more English language arts, they're certainly welcome to do that. The key here is differentiation for gifted learners inside gifted classrooms. We are in the process of developing 2 courses. With the advent of House Bill 5, some of those planning meetings are on hold until we can, until we know what our foundational program is and how those things might affect the creation of 2 elective courses. However, at 7th grade, it is our intention to provide a survey course where learners can take a deep dive into the 4 core content areas, and then have a 6 weeks devoted to leadership or the fine arts. And then finally, a 6 weeks where they investigate a passion of their own. And then 8th grade, our elective course is slated to be a GT passion project where learners actually conceptualize and begin to actualize a passion project. This gives us the opportunity to link learners with mentors in the community and those that are experts in the field. That was a recommendation from the audit. At Coppell High School, there were no changes implemented for 13-14 school year. However, at Coppell High School, we are working right now to define and articulate what the curriculum for a GT course is. We are looking to integrate sophisticated products so that it is very clear to all stakeholders what is the difference between an AP GT course and an AP course. What's the difference between pre-AP GT and a pre-AP course. We need to articulate and give some substance and examples embedded within the course catalog. Again, the committee that worked this summer recommended that ninth graders explore GT courses regardless of their area of identification, but in deviating from previous conversation, the gifted action team did say that between 10th and 12th grade, learners really do need to focus on the courses in which their area of identification is. That's still up for discussion. However, there's reason to believe that after learners are conferencing about their data over the course of several years, they would really self-select environments that meet their needs, the pacing being appropriate, and their level of challenge being appropriate. NTH C and the CHS Academies provide a unique opportunity for educators to design differentiation for learners who are identified gifted. At this time, the group that was working this summer began to craft a menu of grouping and other differentiation strategies to be used in those unique instructional environments. We'll begin implementing that in the spring to see how well it works with our gifted learners. Professional development is a huge part of our plan. Obviously, you are participating in this 30-hour professional learning in a blended format so that we can better equip our educators to recognize and understand the unique learning needs of gifted students. We need to create a system for tracking those that have already participated in the training. It is a state requirement that we do so. You guys are familiar with the state plan, so you understand the significance of that. Counselors and administrators, we need to have a system where they receive their 6-hour update, and right now those are being embedded into their meetings. Specific training is being offered at the elementary level at both the campus and district level to support those cluster educators who have the opportunity to differentiate for their learners perhaps more than they have in the past. They also have support, but there are some questions that we need to help them answer, including how to assess for mastery perhaps before the actual instruction has occurred. We are partnering with Intervention Services this year to provide some training on learners who are twice exceptional. Our population of learners who have a significant challenge as well as a significant gift continue to grow, and we need to address how to differentiate and modify and accommodate for those learners as appropriate. And then we are partnering with Hardin-Simmons University this spring. If you're interested in pursuing an advanced degree in gifted education, they will be providing courses for our instructional staff here in the district. Communication is obviously a big part of what we're doing to make sure everyone understands the changes that have been made and those that are coming. The Coppell Gifted Association, the parent group, has been a wonderful support to us this summer as we've continued to work through the recommendations made by the audit. We have rebranded Challenge at the elementary level to Gifted and Talented Interventions. The word interventions does seem to have a little bit of baggage. However, we believe that we truly do have to accommodate and in some cases modify the instruction for our gifted learners in order to meet their needs, and therefore we're sticking to it. We are building a district-wide database of outside evaluators so that educators at all campuses can access specialists in fields. And then House Bill 5 does require the creation of an advisory panel for our gifted program. Some of the big ideas. Really, we have a mindset in the community that if I just keep testing my learner, they will eventually get into the GT program. I really want to change the mindset that this isn't a program, but it is a continuum of services. When a learner has an identified need, it is our responsibility as professional educators to meet that need. And therefore, we look at what is the best placement in the continuum of services to be able to do that. At the elementary level, making sure that parents and all stakeholders understand that less space time with the gifted specialist doesn't mean that those learners are not getting the same service. As a matter of fact, they're getting more service than they ever did before because their gifted specialists are collaborating with the classroom educators. They now have time to do that. And there's still a lot of work to do. We've got a long list of changes we need to make in order to better serve our most able learners. Thank you for participating in this blended learning opportunity. I would be interested in your feedback, and we'll be sending out a survey. So thank you for all that you do to help meet the needs of our gifted learners.